Part 1. Opening. When the city falls asleep. Imagine yourself standing in a Walmart parking lot at 2 in the morning. The world is quiet. Cold air slides between the light poles. And then, your eyes settle on a plain white van tucked deep in the corner. Most people walk past it without a second thought. But if you look a little closer, you'll notice something quietly extraordinary. Inside that thin shell of metal is not a toolbox, not a shipment waiting for delivery. It is a bedroom, a kitchen, a last fortress for someone holding on to life with both hands. People romanticize van life. Espresso at sunrise, ocean views, cozy blankets. But that's not the story here. This is survival. This is what happens when rent spikes, when a job disappears, when a family breaks apart. They didn't choose a van to travel, they chose it to stay invisible. So the real questions begin. How do you stay warm in a metal box when the world outside freezes? Where do you go when every bathroom is locked? And how do you exist in plain sight without being seen? Welcome to the Shelter Project. Tonight, we uncover how homeless individuals turn a simple cargo van into a safe, workable home, one small choice at a time. And perhaps, as you listen, you'll find a piece of wisdom you can carry with you, because strength often comes from the places we overlook. Part 2. The perfect disguise. Why a van? Now that you've seen the quiet truth hiding inside a parking lot at 2 in the morning, a new question rises. Why a cargo van? Why not an RV, a camper, or something already built for living? The answer is simple, and also everything. Stealth. In the world of urban survival, stealth isn't decoration. It's protection. It's peace. It's the thin line between being left alone and being asked to move along in the middle of the night. An RV announces itself. It tells the whole block, someone is living here. Lights, vents, decals, windows, everything screams for attention. But a white Ford Econoline or a Chevy Express, that van blends into the city the way a pebble blends into a riverbed. Most people never even register it. Police glance at it and assume it belongs to a contractor. Neighbors ignore it because they've seen 100 identical ones. And that invisibility, that ability to melt into the background, becomes a shield. But choosing the right van isn't just buying whatever is cheap. It's a calculation of survival, money, and engineering. The Ford E-Series is the favorite for one reason. It refuses to die. Those engines run for hundreds of thousands of miles. A van with 300,000 miles on the odometer can still carry someone through winter after winter, if it's been cared for. And parts? They're everywhere. Any auto shop, any small town. There's comfort in knowing that if something breaks, you won't lose your home because you can't afford a repair. But hidden inside that choice is a trap that catches newcomers all the time. Frame rust. The body can be dented, scraped, even ugly, but the frame is the skeleton. If that steel is rotting, the van stops being a shelter. It becomes a metal coffin on wheels. One crack in the wrong place, and your entire life on wheels becomes unsafe to drive or live inside. Then there's a detail most people never think about until it's too late. The door. Sliding door or barn doors. It sounds trivial, but imagine this. You're pulling a heavy metal sliding door open at 3 in the morning in a silent neighborhood. That scraping, grinding noise echoes like an alarm. It tells everyone within 20 yards exactly where you are. Barn doors, by contrast, open quietly. They let you slip in and out without drawing a single set of eyes. And as a bonus, the inside panel of a barn door becomes extra storage space for gear. an entire vertical wall you didn't know you had. So why a van?
Because in a life where safety depends on going unnoticed, a simple white cargo van becomes the ultimate camouflage.
It lets someone exist without being exposed. It lets them breathe without being questioned. And as you'll see, choosing the right shell is only the beginning. The real battle starts once you step inside that empty box of metal and try to make it warm. Part 3. The physics of warmth. Insulation is more than just foam. Now that you have the van, you face the next question. How do you keep it warm? Because at its core, a cargo van isn't a home. It's a metal refrigerator on wheels. In winter, that metal skin pulls heat away from your body fast, faster than most people realize. And if you sleep inside without preparing for it, you can slip toward hypothermia even under a thick blanket. So the first instinct many people have is simple. Just stick reflectix on the walls. Done, right? Warm and cozy. But physics has its own rules. Reflectix only works when it reflects radiant heat across an air gap. If you press it flat against the metal, you erase that gap, and the material loses almost all of its insulating power. In fact, instead of keeping heat in,
It can help the cold travel straight into your living space.
so what really works? Experienced van dwellers turn to rigid foam boards, XPS or polyiso. XPS resists moisture and has a strong R value, about R5 per inch. That means real insulation, real warmth, and real control over the environment inside your tiny steel room. It's not glamorous, but it's reliable. And in survival, reliability is everything. But here's the twist. The true enemy isn't just cold. It's moisture. Condensation is the silent saboteur. Each night, with every breath, your body releases nearly a liter of water vapor. In a sealed metal box, that vapor has nowhere to go. It finds the coldest surface, the van's walls, and condenses into droplets. Those droplets drip, soak, rot, and invite mold to grow in the dark. And if you've used insulation that absorbs water, like fiberglass or denim, it becomes a sponge. A cold, wet, collapsing sponge that no longer keeps you warm and quietly breeds black mold breathing inches from your pillow. That's why materials like thinsulate or sheep's wool are prized. They're hydrophobic. They let moisture pass through instead of trapping it. They allow the van to breathe, which might sound poetic, but it's actually survival science. A dry van stays warm. A damp van steals warmth from your bones. And don't forget the floor. People protect the walls but ignore the ground beneath them, yet the cold from the floor will drain heat from your feet far faster than the air ever will. A simple layer of XPS under a wooden floor breaks that thermal bridge and keeps your body from leaking precious heat into the ground. So if you ever wondered how someone survives winter inside a thin metal shell, the answer begins with understanding warmth. Not as comfort, but as physics. And once you control heat, you control the space. The van stops feeling like a refrigerator and starts becoming a home. Part 4. Energy and Nutrition. Surviving the no-fridge life. You've kept the warmth in. The van no longer feels like a freezer pressed against your skin. But now another challenge steps forward, the kind you can't ignore for long. Hunger. Because in a van with no access to the power grid, a refrigerator isn't just expensive, it's impossible. It drains energy faster than you can replace it. So most people living in vans learn a new rhythm, a new science of eating. The no-fridge diet. It sounds harsh at first, but it's surprisingly doable once you understand how to work with time, temperature, and the limits of small spaces. What does that diet look like? It starts with foods that don't spoil easily. Oats, nuts, peanut butter, canned meals. They stay fresh, they're calorie-dense, and they don't require refrigeration.
Then you add the quiet heroes of survival: potatoes, onions, carrots, squash. These root vegetables can last a week or more without cooling, as long as you keep them dry and tucked away. And here's something most people never expect: fresh eggs, the kind bought directly from small farms before industrial washing removes their protective coating, can stay safe at room temperature far longer than you think. Little bits of knowledge like that, they become lifelines. But when it comes time to cook, the stakes rise. A small butane or propane stove can turn a cold night into something hopeful. But there's a rule carved into the memories of everyone who has lived this life. Always ventilate. Burn a stove in a closed van, and you're not just cooking dinner, you're burning oxygen and creating carbon monoxide, a silent, invisible killer. And every flame adds humidity to the air, slowly turning your warm shelter into a damp trap. So even if the world outside is freezing, a window must crack open. The roof vent must spin. And a CO detector becomes as essential as the stove itself. The people who forget this rule, they don't get a second chance. But warmth and food are only half the battle. You still need electricity, just enough to keep a phone alive, to run a fan, to power a small light so the night feels less heavy. Solar panels seem like an obvious answer, but mounting them on the roof breaks your disguise. A plain white cargo van suddenly becomes something else, something watched. So a smarter option appears: a DC-DC charger. A small device that quietly links your starter battery to your house battery in the back. Every time you drive, even just to work or across town, the alternator charges both. No panels, no attention. Pure stealth. And then comes the choice of battery. Lithium, especially LiFePO4, is incredible. Light, efficient, long-lasting. But it has one fatal flaw. It cannot be charged below freezing. In cold climates, that flaw becomes a threat, which is why many van dwellers in snowy regions rely on heavy AGM batteries instead. They're old school, they're bulky, but they don't quit in the cold. So when you ask yourself how someone survives without a fridge, without a kitchen, without a power grid, the answer is simple. They don't try to recreate a house. They build a system, one that uses less, wastes less, and adapts to the truth of living in a metal box. And once you understand that system, you start to see the van differently, not as a limitation, but as a puzzle. A puzzle you can solve, one choice at a time. Part 5. The delicate realities. Daily life and quiet strategies. Let's shift the tone for a moment, a little softer, because now we're stepping into the part everyone wonders about, but few dare to ask. Where do you shower? Where do you use the bathroom? How do you stay clean, human, grounded, when your home has 4 wheels and barely 6 square meters of space? For nearly everyone living in a van, the answer begins with something surprisingly simple: a gym membership. Planet Fitness, Anytime Fitness, open 24 hours. For $20 to $25 a month, you get unlimited hot showers, clean bathrooms, and a place to stretch your body after days of being crammed in a metal shell. But the truth is deeper than hygiene. Those showers restore dignity. They remind you that you're still part of the world, not hidden from it. But what about 3 in the morning, when everything is closed and the night refuses to let you sleep? That's when the most practical tool in van life makes an appearance: the bucket toilet. A 5-gallon bucket lined with thick trash bags, topped with sawdust or cat litter to absorb moisture and smell. It sounds crude, maybe even shocking the first time you hear it. But when the wind is icy, when your breath fogs the air, when leaving the van means stepping into danger or freezing cold, that simple bucket becomes a lifesaver. A small act of control in an unpredictable world. And then there's the question that decides everything. Where do you park so you won't be disturbed? This is where experience turns into quiet wisdom. Bob Wells, one of the most respected voices in the mobile dwelling community, shares rules that many people live by.
Rule 1. Arrive late, leave early. Never park for the night while the sun is up. Blend in after dark. Disappear with the first light. Rule 2. Rotate your spots. Never sleep in the same place 2 nights in a row. Familiarity is the enemy of stealth. You want a rotation, a quiet circuit of 7 to 10 locations that never repeats too soon. Rule 3. Choose strategic zones. Hospital parking lots, where cars move at all hours and nobody questions an unfamiliar vehicle. Industrial parks, quiet after work hours. Large hotel lots, where vans blend in with business traffic. Yet there's a glimmer of hope in all this. More cities, San Diego, Los Angeles, and dozens of others, now offer safe parking programs. These are designated areas where people living in their vehicles can park legally, sleep safely, use restrooms, and breathe without fear of a knock on the window at midnight. For many, it's the first real rest they've had in years. Because at the end of the day, survival isn't only about warmth or calories or electricity. It's about stability, privacy, the simple ability to close your eyes without flinching at every sound outside your door. And if you've ever taken a peaceful night for granted, these quiet strategies remind you of something profound. Safety is a privilege, but for those who live on the margins, it's also a skill. Final part, beyond just shelter. So, here we are. At the end of a journey that began with a cold parking lot at 2 in the morning and led us into the quiet, ingenious, stubborn ways people turn a simple van into something much bigger than metal and insulation. Because transforming a van into a home isn't really about wood or foam or wiring. It's about redefining what home means in a world that changes faster than most people can keep up with. It's about reclaiming control when everything else feels uncertain. And it's about discovering that comfort doesn't come from square footage, it comes from mastery. From knowing how to create warmth in a snowstorm, how to protect your privacy on a crowded street, how to carve out a small, steady place for yourself when life feels like it's slipping away. For many people out here, that plain white cargo van isn't a symbol of failure. It's a lifeline, a raft holding them above water when the world has gone storm dark. It's the one place where they can exhale without fear, the one place where the cold can't quite reach them, the one place where, for a few hours each night, they can rest. And if you look closely, really closely, you'll see something else too. You'll see resilience, creativity, engineering born from necessity. You'll see people building systems not out of luxury, but out of courage, out of the belief that even in the hardest moments, you can still shape your environment, still protect your warmth, still create a corner of safety for yourself. Thank you for spending this time with The Shelter Project. If what you learned today opened your eyes or touched your heart, consider sharing it. Maybe someone you know, a friend, a coworker, a neighbor, is quietly fighting their own winter. Sometimes knowledge is the blanket that gets them through the night. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And until we meet again, stay warm out there.